I'm sharing my story because someone in your hospital right now might be where I was in January of 2017. Dismissed symptoms, escalating labs, a patient who looked fine until she wasn't. I was 34 weeks pregnant with twins. Elevated blood pressure, dropping platelets, right upper quadrant pain, extreme fatigue, all attributed to normal twin pregnancy. I nearly died. My story shows where the system failed and what could have saved me. December 2016, my blood pressure started climbing. My obstetrician noticed it before the holidays. She was leaving out of town, so she had me come in daily for blood pressure checks while her office was closed. I saw her partner on the last visit. She said not to worry. My blood pressure wasn't alarmingly high. I didn't feel bad, so she told me to go and enjoy my holiday. But I did feel bad. I had severe right upper quadrant pain, unbearable indigestion. I couldn't breathe. The swelling was painful. I was so exhausted I couldn't stay awake during the day. Every symptom was dismissed. The rib pain, maybe the baby was kicking. The fatigue, normal for twins in the third trimester. The breathing difficulty. It's expected at 34 weeks. I saw a maternal fetal medicine specialist every 2 weeks. I saw my OB the alternating weeks. I told them everything, and no one connected the dots. I had a high pain tolerance. I was 34 years old, a fitness instructor, a nutritionist, and I looked healthy. That all worked against me. 2 days before my delivery, I felt worse. My daughter wasn't moving as much. I had an appointment scheduled for the next day, so I waited. January 17th, 2017, I walked into my OB's office. I was jaundiced. She immediately said, "I think we're having these babies today." She immediately sent me to labor and delivery. The nurses hooked me up to monitors. Within minutes, they said, "We're taking you right now to an emergency C-section." I delivered my twins, and I didn't wake up. Hope syndrome happened. Preeclampsia happened. Multi-organ failure. Kidney failure, liver failure, lung failure, medically induced coma, and intubation. My obstetrician told my husband and parents, "If you're the praying people, pray every prayer you know." She told them she had never lost a patient and didn't plan to start with me. I was on dialysis. My medical team discussed a liver transplant. I developed DIC, sepsis, pancreatitis. I was intubated for 6 days. I spent nearly 2 weeks in the ICU. My bilirubin hit 18. My muscles atrophied completely. When I finally stabilized enough to leave the ICU, I couldn't walk, talk, or feed myself. I needed an intensive PT and OT. In February, fluid buildup caused my C-section incision to rupture. I needed a second surgery under general anesthesia. I had multiple paracentesis to drain liters of fluid from my abdomen. My team considered the hysterectomy. I got to keep my uterus. 1 month after delivery, I was discharged home with a wound vac, ongoing PT, and multiple follow-up appointments. 3 weeks later, I spiked a fever again. I went to the ER. Abscesses throughout my abdomen. I needed a third surgery, a laparotomy. More infection in my uterus, another discussion about removing it. 3 JP drains, damaged veins from sepsis, possible splenectomy. In May and June, I was back in the ER with high fevers and recurrent infections. No one could locate the source. I spent 3 to 4 months on IV antibiotics through a PICC line at home. Between my care and my twins' NICU stay, our medical bills exceeded $1 million. My daughter was born with severe brain trauma. Her APGAR score of 0, seizures in the NICU, and doctors told my husband she would likely be paraplegic. She has cerebral palsy. She's high functioning. She defied every prediction. My son had respiratory issues but recovered well. I didn't meet them until January 31st, 2 whole weeks after I delivered them. I had no memory of their birth. When my husband showed me photos from the NICU, I felt no connection. I would stare at them like they were someone else's children. Postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety, PTSD. I told my husband he'd be better off without me. I had intrusive thoughts about driving into oncoming traffic, but I didn't see a therapist until 2 years later. We were living on one income. I couldn't work. When I had to choose between my therapy and my daughter's therapies, I chose hers. No one asked me about my mental health. No one screened me. And no one told me this was expected after what I went through. Here's what I want you to hear. I had classic HELP syndrome symptoms for weeks. Elevated blood pressure, dropping platelets, right upper quadrant pain, extreme fatigue, difficulty breathing, and no one put it together until I was jaundiced and in multi-organ failure. I was told my symptoms were normal for twin pregnancy. I was told not to worry. I believed the providers who dismissed my concerns because I didn't know any better. I had frequent monitoring in my 3rd trimester. I saw specialists. I had good health insurance, and I still nearly died. The week before Christmas, my OB left town. Her partner had told me I was fine. That decision could have killed me. When healthcare providers dismiss symptoms in pregnant patients who look fine, you're missing the window to intervene. HELP syndrome escalates fast. Preeclampsia doesn't always present with sky-high blood pressure. My OB saved my life once. I got to the hospital, but I should have never gotten that sick. The signs were there. No one was looking at the full picture. After delivery, I had recurrent sepsis, multiple surgeries, ongoing infections that took months to control. Every readmission was another opportunity for intervention that came too late. Sepsis in obstetric patients is deadly. It's preventable. It requires you to listen when patients say something is wrong. Believe women when they tell you they feel terrible. Don't attribute everything to a normal pregnancy discomfort. Don't assume a healthy-looking patient can't be critically ill. Screen for mental health after traumatic births. PTSD, depression, and anxiety are clinical outcomes, not character flaws. I needed help, and no one offered it. My daughter is now 8. She's thriving. I'm still healing. And I'm sharing this so that the next patient in your care doesn't end up in a coma wondering if she'll ever meet her babies.